I'm really excited to share one of my favorite fragrance houses with you today. Hello, it's Jen K here from A Fragrant Offering. Today I'll be sharing all of the fragrances in my collection from the House of Guerlain. It is a bit cloudy and cool here today where I live, so feel free to join me by pouring yourself a warm cup of tea as we sit and chat today about these different fragrances that I enjoy in my collection. I own 11 Guerlain perfumes. It is the largest house in my collection. First up, we have Samsara. I own the EDT version. This is an oriental woody fragrance geared towards women. It first came out in 1989. It is citrusy on the top, and then it has ylang ylang, iris, tonka bean, vanilla. So it's kind of a citrusy, powdery, floral vanilla. It has come out in different bottles, shapes over the years. I looked up the batch code on mine, and it looks like it came out in 2019. This definitely has a very dated vintage feel to it, 1980s. Another 1980s fragrance that I recently picked up is Isatis by Givenchy, and that one is also very woody, floral, a bit powdery with the iris, and a little bit of spice. So I think both of those fragrances kind of have similar vibes to me, and you can tell they came out around the same time. I don't really wear this fragrance out in public that much, but I love wearing it in the evening and at nighttime, and it dries down to a lovely kind of powdery vanilla fragrance that I've really learned to enjoy. I definitely plan to keep this fragrance in my collection, but I would admit it is probably mostly for sentimental reasons. And next up we have La Petite Robe Noire Eau Fraiche, and this is the only one from this line that I have anymore in my collection. Previously I had both Black Perfecto and the Légère version from this lineup, but now the Eau Fraiche is the only one that I still have. To be honest, there's so many flankers of this fragrance, it can become a little confusing. I think it's the cherry note that I don't really love, and which causes me to struggle a bit with the La Petite Robe Noire fragrances. The Eau Fraiche has very light cherry, and it is a little bit more citrusy in the opening with lemon, bergamot, orange blossom. And then there is, in the base, it's nutty with pistachio, almond, vanilla, tonka bean, white musk. And then it's a little bit floral and fruity in the midtones. So it is a very fresh fragrance. I enjoy wearing this one in the summer. It's something that's easy to wear as an everyday fragrance, but I often find myself reaching for others before this one. Up next is one I'm not certain I would have purchased if I had sampled it first. It is Teracotta, and I was definitely influenced by other YouTubers to buy this. This one was first launched in 2014. It's a floral fragrance. The top notes are tiare flower, coconut, bergamot. Middle notes are jasmine, ylang ylang, and orange blossom. And then in the base there's vanilla and musk. This fragrance has been described as the allure of the sun in a bottle, and I really do think this is such a beautiful bottle, and that's part of the reason I wanted it in my collection. There is something a bit tropical about the coconut, and the florals are very strong in here. I keep sniffing at it and wanting to love it, but I haven't ever worn it and just been like, wow, I really love this fragrance. I will hold on to it for now though, because it is a classic and it's one that I feel like intrigues me and I want to get to know it a little bit better. I'd be curious to hear some other people's opinions on this one and what you like or maybe don't like about it. Here we have my first of 4 from the line of Shalimar from the House of Guerlain. Shalimar was my introduction to the House of Guerlain, and it was a love at first sniff for me. The EDP version was what I had, the first bottle that I got, and it is so vintage floral. I just really loved it. I think there was something very nostalgic about this scent for me. I am looking at the sprayer on this bottle and something seems amok to me. So if any of you have this one, you can check your bottle and let me know if your sprayer is the same. I did notice that this one and the Teracotta don't have the engraving on the top of the sprayer that all my other Guerlain fragrances have. So I'm going to need everybody at home to check their bottles and see if they have the embossing on the top of, especially if you have the Teracotta or the Shalimar cologne version. I've considered getting rid of this bottle because it is so similar to the EDP, but I actually enjoy wearing it in warmer weather. It's not as overcoming, but I can still enjoy the scent DNA of Shalimar. This EDP bottle here is the first one that I had in my collection from Guerlain, and I'm very nostalgic about this one. Shalimar was first introduced in 1925. It is a classic work of art. The inspiration behind this fragrance was the love story between the Emperor Shah Jahan and his wife, and he built the Taj Mahal for her. She was known as the jewel of the palace, and her favorite gardens were the gardens of Shalimar, so hence the name of this fragrance. Top notes are citruses, bergamot, lemon, cedar, and mandarin orange, and then the mid notes have iris, patchouli, vetiver, jasmine, and rose, and in the base there's vanilla, incense, leather, opoponax, civet, sandalwood, tonka bean, and musk. I really feel like someone in my childhood wore this fragrance because there's always something very familiar about it to me. And then the only flankers I have are from the Souffle line, and here is the original EDP. This was introduced in 2014, and it is very much a lemon, vanilla, floral fragrance. So the top notes are lemon, bergamot, mandarin orange, and then it has the orange blossom and jasmine sambac in the mid notes. And then in the base, there's Indian vanilla, Tahitian vanilla, and white musk. There is very much of a sparkling citrus on the opening notes of this fragrance, and then it feels much more modern with the sweet vanilla, much more wearable, not as much of a vintage fragrance. Several years ago I wore this for Thanksgiving, and I really think it's a great holiday scent. There's something powdery and a little bit spicy, and also very edible with this citrus. So for me, it's kind of become a scent association with the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'll often wear it that time of the year. And the last of this lineup is the Shalimar Souffle Intense version. This was first introduced in 2017, and it's already been discontinued. It pretty much has the exact same notes as the EDP version, but it does have benzoin in the base, and so that gives it more of a balsamic, warm, spicy feel and less of a sparkling citrus. It is one that I've considered decluttering because it is so similar to the EDP, but I am very sentimental about my Guerlains and especially my Shalimars, so I definitely think I'm going to hang on to this one. And so right here, you can see that embossing I was talking about on the top of the lid. So still not sure why some of these fragrances have it and some don't. I checked online for this one, and eBay is basically the only way you can find the intense version, although the regular EDP you can still find online at different sellers. And I definitely would recommend this one. Now we are moving into the Mon Guerlain perfumes in my collection. This is a classic lavender vanilla fragrance that was introduced in 2017. Back when I was building my fragrance collection, these were fairly affordable on FragranceNet, and so I picked up this one and also several of the flankers that I'll be showing you. So the Mon Guerlain EDP has top notes of lavender and bergamot. It has middle notes of iris, jasmine, and rose, and then base notes of Tahitian vanilla, coumarin, Australian sandalwood, licorice, benzoin, and patchouli. The addition of lavender in a feminine fragrance was a bit of a new twist in the market that I believe will make this a classic for the long haul. The first flanker I have here is the Mon Guerlain Intense version. As a flanker, this is a little less aromatic and a little bit more warm, spicy. The lavender in this one is definitely a little bit more intense on the opening. There we have that little embossing on the top of the lid again. These bottles are so pretty. If I was going to declutter one of my Mon Guerlains, it probably would be this one, simply because there's other intense nighttime fragrances that I would prefer to wear. For example, I often reach for my YSL Libre Intense over this one, and that's also a lavender vanilla fragrance. This is a really beautiful fragrance, and as I'm sniffing it now, it reminds me, as it always does, that I really should be wearing it more. Up next we have the EDT version, and this is probably the most approachable and wearable of the three, in my opinion. There is a bit of citrus and freshness to this one that make it very wearable, more like a skin scent, and I will wear this one to work sometimes. Funny story about this one. I took it on a hike on the beach one day with me, and I was going to photograph it, and I set it down by the water to take a video, and a wave came and washed it out to sea. And at the time it was one of my favorites. I was wearing it a lot to work, so I did end up repurchasing the bottle, but I haven't used this one as much. I don't have as big of a dent in this bottle. So I am super careful about taking photos of my perfumes at the beach anymore. Speaking of the beach, I am super excited for the weather to warm up outside and to get out and do some hiking again this summer. And maybe I will get back in the habit of wearing this beautiful scent as an everyday fragrance. And last but not least, I have a very beautiful Mon Guerlain flanker. It's the Bloom of Rose EDT version. This is very much of a citrusy, white floral rose. It's light enough to wear every day. This is the EDT version, which is getting harder to find online. Most places I look still have the EDP version. This is one that's very much of an easy reach for me, and I really enjoy wearing it. If you do happen upon this one when you're looking for fragrances, it is one that I definitely would recommend picking up and trying. I prefer my fragrances light, and I'm not a heavy sprayer, so a dent like this for me is actually pretty decent. This is the last of the full-size bottles that I have in my collection from Guerlain. I do have several other samples that I really enjoy. I think this is a fragrance house that I could be happy if it was the only one in my collection. If you're still listening, that means you have hung around to the end, and I really appreciate your support. Feel free to follow along if you enjoy this type of content, and I post a lot more over on Instagram at a.fragrant.offering. So feel free to pop over there and check out my Instagram page as well. Hope you have a great day.